And I feel it's really important to realize that you are not the only one that's lost. You are not the only one that's feeling out of place. I'm not diminishing the experience, but everyone's feeling like that. And it's like the metaphor that they say, walk into a room and imagining everyone naked. That's the same principle. You're imagining everyone as vulnerable as you, basically.
Okay, yeah.
And I feel like that's really the key.
The following is Oloodi Dialogues, the platform where we explore the journeys and insights of software engineering students from around the world. Today we have a special guest, Hanine Tidrini, joining us for our second episode. Hanine is a software engineering student at Concordia and leads their Google Developer Student Club. In this episode, we'll dive into her journey, exploring her experiences as a woman in tech, the challenges she faces, and how she navigates her academic and professional path. So whether you're a student or a professional, this platform is for you. Don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories. Okay, come on. I'm very happy to have Hanine today. Hello, Hanine.
Hi, Boris. How are you?
I'm doing very well, very, very well. It's Sunday here in Montreal, so welcome to Oloodi Dialogues. So the platform is named Oloodi Dialogue, and I'm really excited to have you today as my guest, my number two, though. I was about to say number one. Actually, number two, the second episode, right? And when I recall about the way we've met together, we first met last year at the
Hmm. Yes,
DevFest conference at McGill, actually, McGill University.
yes,
And I was thrilled to attend the one you organized. I call it your DevFest at the Concordia University, right? And yeah, we've discussed a little bit together, and I know I would like to say that I know you're doing amazing work as a software engineering student, first of all, at Concordia University, where you're studying right now. And you also member, maybe leader, if I'm not mistaken, you're leading the Google Developer Student Club at Concordia
hmm,
too. And plus, on top of that, you are part of the Women Techmakers. So that's really
yes.
inspiring, right? So every time we were talking together, we had a chance to meet in those conferences, in those events. I remember all the interaction we had together was really, really inspiring for me. You were sharing with me the challenges in software engineering. You were talking to me about mentoring, diversity in this ecosystem. So yeah, I
Yes.
was feeling really inspired, and I yeah, I just had a dream that one day if I open that platform, you will be someone I will have a chance to jump into a conversation with you. So thank you for being here with me today, Hanine, and yeah, the floor is yours. Feel free to I would say talk to us, share with me your story, your challenges. Yeah, thank you, Hanine.
Thank you so much for having me, Boris. I'm very happy to be on your podcast. I heard about it was not too long ago, but I immediately liked the idea. I really like how authentic you're trying to make it, how you're gonna give students a voice and professionals as well to kind of have those point of views that we don't necessarily get all the time. Especially I'm gonna talk as a student throughout the whole episode because that's a different perspective. And as students, if we don't go to networking and we don't meet with a lot of people, then our perspective stays very, very closed and very limited to the students around us. And I feel like it's very important to have this kind of like media episodes, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, and hoping to get that on different platforms as well, for students to listen to, for us to get some experience as well. So I'm very, very happy to be here. And as you mentioned, our first meeting, that was something that inspired me a lot as well. I really like your perspective on things. I feel like you have a lot to bring to your podcast, and especially you being from different backgrounds as well. I think you've been in France, you've been in Morocco, you're now in Canada, so that's a lot of different perspectives. It's very different in each country, and this episode being about diversity and inclusion, there's a lot that you're going to be able to bring to the table as well today. I'm very excited to hear about all of this.
Amazing.
Um, so as you've mentioned, Women Techmakers, Google Developer Student Clubs, all of those have been initiatives that I wanted to be a part of when I heard the message that they were about. So Women Techmakers is all about inclusivity in tech for women. And my experience with Women Techmakers has been amazing, honestly. The amount of people that I've met, the amount of women, all with different backgrounds, all whether that is like cultural backgrounds that are different or even their paths to their careers have been really, really different. And that's inspiring because not everyone has a straight road. You know, as students, we're like, we want to get into the program, we want to graduate, we want to get a job, and that's it. Like, we don't really leave much room for the imagination. There's a comfort in the stability. You know, we want to get into the field, get the first job. We want it to be our dream job from the beginning. And we're very hard on ourselves sometimes, but it's very, very helpful to see someone in a job that's very, very appealing, but also to see how their background has been different, their path has been different. Maybe they changed studies, they changed countries, they maybe started in a field that has nothing to do with software engineering. And
Absolutely, absolutely.
yeah, and that's something that we try to bring forward with GDSC as well. You know, we've had students from finance programs who come and learn about how they can integrate tech with what they do. So like fintech, for example, we had students from sociology who come into our clubs and actually get involved and, you know, try to learn a bit more about the tech field. So I feel like everything we're doing here, whether me or you, is all about making the tech industry a bit more inclusive, impactful, yes.
Mhm.
And you know, going forward, that's really what we're focused on. And I'm really
No,
happy
that's
that you're
amazing.
sharing the same vision with this podcast.
No, that's amazing. You're really, really inspiring. Just listening to you, I feel that passion. And I remember the first time we've met together, I was like, no, you're passionate about it. You're passionate about sharing, about also helping others to grow in their
Mhm,
career, right? I would like to share something with you. And then I remember I had 10 years old. Um, and my pop bought a computer at home.
mhm.
So I remember it was a compact, the name of that computer. So it was Windows. And for me, it was life changing. I saw something, I wanted to play with that. And I was like, I like that tool. It was for me like a tool at the time. For my pap was this was this yeah, it was not a tool for him. He had to work with that. But for me it was like, no, not a tool actually, it was a toy. I was like, I want to play with that thing, right? And I remember, I would like to share that with you because I believe in something. Yeah, I would like to hear from you though in that your perspective on that. I remember from that day, he was like, okay, do whatever you want with that. Okay, be gentle with it. Go and play with that and discover. And when I recall that story, I'm sharing that story because I came across a study. The study in the I'm just not gonna mistake one like to see the website. Yeah, International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health. That found that family influence and support are directly linked to career decision and slash quote unquote happiness, right? So that study actually highlight how a family, supportive family environment can definitely impact one career journey. So for me was that. And every time I'm sharing about my story being in the tech industry, being a software engineer today, I see no was that day, 10 years old, a guy, a boy, a child in front of a toy was like, whoa, what is that thing? Daddy, can I play with that? That day I was like, boom, in my mind. One day I would like to be. Yeah, I don't know the name. Maybe it was in my mind. I would like to, if I said that time was computer science. I was just like, that's a thing I would like to do all my life. So I'm asking and I'm sharing that story because I would like to ask you how has your family background influences your decision to pursue that career, to be a software engineering student, to aspire to become a professional in that industry?
So for me, my family has always been very supportive of any decision career-wise. So I feel like they would have been happy with pretty much anything that I chose. So I didn't feel any kind of pressure to go into the typical roles, you know, like doctor, engineer, and law student. So there wasn't any type of pressure from that side. And I am very, very grateful about that because it allowed me to look at careers that I would not have thought of. And when I said that, I almost was an electrician actually, which is such a funny story.
Amazing, amazing.
um, when I was in Cégep, I didn't know exactly what technique en génie électrique was. And I
Uh-huh.
thought that was like the fast track to being an engineer out of Cégep. You know, I had very limited information. And so I actually was going to apply for that one first. And then I talked about with the advisor, etc. And she explained that it's a technical job and then you would still need university after that. So I was
Mm,
like, okay, no, maybe not. But this is just an example to illustrate how we don't necessarily have the most information when we're in Cégep or in high school. And so um, for me, my parents are immigrants, so they came into Canada when I was 8 years old or 9 years old, something like that.
amazing,
And
amazing.
so they didn't have any experience with choosing cegeps, choosing university degrees. You know, obviously they studied again here when they came, but it was more about getting the equivalence for the degrees that they had back home and just be able to practice to continue practicing their careers here. But that whole concept of starting your education here, looking at what CEGEP is, etc., which programs lead to which universities, that was not something that we talked about a lot at home. You know, it was mostly me bringing information to them, being very excited about like, hey, what do you think about this program? And one thing I remember is them really supported me in I feel like whatever program I brought home, they were like, "Oh, that's such a good
Let's go.
decision."
Let's go.
Yeah, and so I'm very very grateful for that because there was no pressure. And the way I fell into software engineering was actually in Cégep. I went the natural sciences route because that's what opened the most doors, and I was very indecisive at the time. I remember wanting to go into biomedical engineering. I had my first biology and organic chemistry classes in Cégep, and I was like, that is definitely not for me.
Not your cup of tea.
So no, but I was way better at physics and math, so I
Mm,
went the applied sciences pure et appliquées, which is applied sciences route. I think if I translated that right.
yeah.
And so from the choices I had, I picked two classes. I picked astrophysics and I picked programming. So my first programming class was actually C Sharp .NET, and I really really liked it. I really liked how you get to solve well, there was not a lot of problem solving in my first class, but I could see the idea. You know, you have an algorithm that you need to make from scratch, and then you can draw it out. You can figure out how you're gonna, figure out where to put the data, what does this function do, etc. It felt like a mind puzzle at the time, and I really really liked it. And that's when I looked into. I was still in the engineering field, but I was like, okay, maybe we're doing something more software computer science instead of going into biomed or mechanical. And so that's how I ended up in my program. I would say the my family played a big role because if I had pressure whatsoever, then I would have gone with something that was more traditionally like their choice instead of mine, which is not what happened.
Amazing.
So I'm very very
Oh,
grateful about that.
look at you, look at you. That expression of gratitude, I really like. I really embrace it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm a father of two kids, and I
Hmm.
am doing my best to be sure that I put them, I will say, in better position to succeed. You can't control that. The only thing you can really do is just to say, okay, ensure that you take the good decision, the best decision. So yeah, that expression of gratitude that you're sharing, that really talked to me, right? And I'm hoping, yeah, some other parents will understand that, because sometimes as a I won't say kids or young adult, we're trying to find our path. We're afraid. We're just afraid, right? You're afraid to take
Yeah.
a, I would say, the wrong path, to make a bad decision. And when you have that family who kind of support you by saying, okay, you know what, do you try your best, and not putting any kind of pressure, I think that definitely helps. And
Yeah.
also understanding that, yeah, you have a choice. The word that I'm using now, I would say, maybe because I do have experience a little bit there, is like fail fast. If you can fail fast, it's good. But I'm sure that, yeah, when you see your kids, your daughter, they were looking at me and they were like, okay, we need to be sure that we don't put any kind of pressure on her. But at the same
Yes.
time, we are like, okay, we're hoping she will make the
Yes.
best decision for her career. So,
Yes.
so
Yes. Yes.
congratulations to your parent for that. Bravo to them, and I think they can be proud of the way you just sharing that story with us. Um, And you mentioned something though. You said you immigrant from Morocco. The funny thing, yeah, I
Yes.
think I told you that in the past, right? I've been to Morocco. I spent a couple of years there. I don't have the Darija Moroccan in my mouth again. I can see some words, but yeah, that's where actually when I left Cameroon and I start, I would say my journey as a man, as a young adult. And I was also starting that journey of becoming what I would say a professional software engineer. We call it at the time just a developer. And yeah, in front of me, the road was not easy, first of all, because I changed actually a country, right? Everything that I've learned, everything that I would say the support system around me, my school, where I had my
Yeah.
I spent the high school actually, everything that they taught me, now you need to apply, right? You move from being that kid who's just learning things, now you have to face the real life. And my real life actually started when I was living alone in Morocco. So one of the unique challenge that I have, remember at the time, was like, okay, how I'm gonna deal with my homework. I'm alone here. I will need to understand what the teacher was saying at school, the practice, finding buddies, finding friends, people I can go and basically bounce back together with them and like, okay, do you understand that thing like I do? Me being passionate about that was also really challenging for me because I wanted to find a network, people I can go off, do I would say after work to kind of, yeah, extend a little bit what the teacher was saying at school. I'm asking those questions to for you maybe to if you can share those quote unquote unique challenges you face you are facing right now in your academic
Mhm.
journey and maybe slash professional journey if you already have some in your some journey like that in your backpack, if that makes sense.
Um, just before I jump into the question, I want to mention something. You talked about leaving your home country, your safe space,
Yeah,
your safety kind of net, to go to a new country, and I feel like that's a very difficult decision to make because obviously me today, if I do fail, I have the support of family around me. I can always fall back on that. I can go back home, and for you as well, I'm sure your parents were very supportive. But you're alone in a new country, and I feel like your 20s are really the time for you to fail, but it's very difficult to do that without the proper support system around you, whether
absolutely.
that's peers, family, professionals that you can rely on. And so I find that very, very courageous.
Thank you.
Is that the word? For
Yeah,
of you of making that decision. It's not an easy one, and I really wanted to jump on that. So you talked about challenges. I feel like the biggest challenge, and I feel like a lot of women are going to relate to this, is and it's getting better than it was 10 years ago, but it's the lack of representation in subfields. So let's say you want to be, let's take the electrician example. You're going to look at campaigns. You're going to see it portrayed by men like most of the time. If you want to be a firefighter, it's going to be the campaigns obviously got a lot better, as I'm saying, but that kind of lack of representation, I feel like as a visible minority, it's even more an important topic to discuss because young girls in high school are looking at career paths and they're going on websites and they're seeing it portrayed as a man's job, and so they're gonna less go into that career path and they're gonna look at it a bit less. They're gonna look at the careers where they see themselves represented and everything, and I feel like that's very, very important. That's something that we can start from children very, very early on, but that's another topic of conversation. So I was on the lack of representation, but so coming into Cégep in my programming class, it was me and another friend of mine who was a girl, and then it was all guys. And so I had that support system around me. We would jump on, being the only girls in class, kind of like comically. Again, everyone was very nice, which I never had that kind of like feeling left out. But I feel like that's something that comes from inside as well. If you
yeah,
walk into a room and the first thought in your head is, I don't belong here. I see myself as a minority. I don't think I have a place here, etc. Then ultimately your experience is going to be what you make out of it. You're going to see everything around you and you're going to think that you're not welcome. You're obviously going to have a lesser experience. And so I feel like the most important thing you can have in your life as someone who's a minority in any space, and um, is to walk into that room and feel like you belong as much as the next person, feel like you have the same qualifications as the next person, you both got into the same program, both got into the same job, because internships as well and jobs as well, if you get into a specific work environment and you see that you're the only woman or the only visible minority of some sort in the workplace, it can be kind of daunting. But I feel like if you walk into a room with confidence, then that's gonna transparent like from you, and everyone's gonna see it, and then you would feel a lot more comfortable if you keep that idea in your head. Then it makes it a lot easier. And I was very fortunate in my degree. I met a lot of amazing girls in my program and women in my program, and we have that kind of support system between each other. We have group chats. We see each other a lot of the time. We share struggles. We're like, oh, this class was hard. This class was easy. We have a lot of the same classes, and it really helps to have people that I can relate to in my field. And that's not to say that I can't relate to men. I met some great male friends as well in the field, but it's very, very important to surround yourself with people that have similar experiences to you as
Yes.
well.
Look like you actually too at the same time.
Yes,
So,
look like you, live the same as you, etc.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to put myself in shoes of those who will say, yeah, we get it. We understand what you're saying. It's a beautiful story. Nice. I enter the room. I'm trying my best to work with confidence, to be cocky, to be that one who's like, okay, I belong here. But I understand, and I think I also share that. I believe in that actually, because being an extrovert, I define myself like a passionate guy who would always share his thought. I won't cancel myself because I believe that I will I have to say what I think and without hurting people, but I'm confident. And I also say to myself, yeah, if I need to do something, I will do my best to implement discipline, consistency to reach my goal. But usually I found that it's not easy, right? We can say that people heard that. What will be the formula or the recipe you will say to someone who understands, and then it's like he's actually saying to himself or to self, I cannot implement that. I want, but actually Anine is talking about confidence. She's talking about looking people who belong, who look like you, ensuring that, telling to yourself that, yeah, I belong in this place. Nice, good. But I don't have it in my guts. I don't have it in me. How I'm going to do that? Actually, yeah, I'm asking you that because I believe maybe you have a formula or recipe you would like to share with those girls, those women who will be like, yeah, nice, well say, I mean, but I'm not like you. I don't have that superpower
Yeah.
in me.
Yeah, I kind of like listen to the podcast, agree, but like now what? Now how do I do that?
Exactly. What
Um,
what is the next step actually?
so I kind of have a bit of an answer to that. Obviously, it's going to be different for everyone, but I when I was in high school, actually was not very like outgoing at all. I kept to myself most of the time, and like I wouldn't go up to people in the same way that I would today. So like the first day I met you, I just kind of came up to you. I was like, hey, I was really inspired by your talk. Would you mind elaborating more on this and this? And we ended up like connecting over several subjects, but 5 years ago, I would not have done that at all. I would have thought in my head, wow, like this is a person that I would love to talk to. I would have just walked right past you, keeping that idea in my head. Um, and I think what really changed is finding my people. And I know that sounds really hard because when you go into a new country, a new program, you don't know anyone around you. You're like, when will my people come to me? And that's very hard to get. But once you have a good set of people around you, once you connect with people your age, you realize that everyone is lost pretty much. And when I say finding my people, I mean people that you can be vulnerable with, people that you can look them in the eye and say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how I got here. I have no idea what's going on. And they're going to relate, and they're going to kind of validate your feelings and show you that everyone around you is kind of lost in their own way. I
Absolutely.
remember when I was younger, I I have a cousin that's older than me that's here in Canada. And once I was talking to him, and that's a very, very old story. I don't even know if he remembers this, but I was talking to him and I was like, wow, you're an adult now, because we kind of grew up together in Morocco and then he came back here for his studies. Wow, you're an adult now. And the thing he told me is, we're all still kids in our head. Like, nothing changed in my head. I'm just now making adult decisions and adult things in my life, but I'm
Oh,
still as
well
lost
said.
as you in my brain. And I kind of still remember that, when I walk into a class, I have no idea what's going on, or I walk into an internship, I feel underqualified, I have imposter syndrome. I think of the fact that even the CEO of the company has the same doubts in his mind. Even the
Absolutely.
CEO of the company doesn't have a roadmap of exactly what to do, what the right decision is. And I feel it's really important to realize that you are not the only one that's lost. You are not the only one that's feeling out of place. I'm not diminishing the experience, but everyone's feeling like that. And it's like the metaphor that they say, walk into a room and imagining everyone naked. That's the same principle. You're imagining
Okay.
everyone as vulnerable as you,
I
basically.
see. Yeah.
And I feel like that's really the key.
I love that quote, and for people who will listen to that segment, to that podcast, yeah, as Anin said, you are not the only one. Actually, you in your room, you have your problem, struggle, challenges. You think that you are the only one in the world with that on your
Yeah.
plate, but actually, no, you are not the only one. You will always find
Mm.
someone else who will be like, oh my gosh, we can be together, we can join forces to solve that, and that, I think,
Yeah.
you're saying that a perfect way. I love it. Thank you for sharing that. And last year, when I think it was couple weeks or month after the death, your death, as I call it, your death, because actually I was proud to see that you wanted to
Thank
do
you.
that. Your death, the death at Concordia. I remember you shared with me about mentoring program, if I'm not mistaken,
Hmm.
you were launching at Concordia. For me, at that time, it sounded like an amazing initiative to support, yeah, students in their professional development. Um, I would like to be honest, right? When I start my career, didn't have a lot of people around me, my family, friends, or I would say just the quick circle around me who went to that program, who went to, I would say, software engineering, who could come and talk to me about, yeah, what I would face, what is coming. So I was kind of alone. I was reading things on the internet. I
Yeah.
was trying my best. So what kind of mentoring and networking opportunities have you found in your journey most beneficial for you, that you can recall and say, okay, actually those mentoring, networking opportunities make the difference for me?
So I'm gonna talk about two types of mentorship, which I do have a strong preference for one of them. There's one-on-one mentorship, so like people that I see around me and I reach out to them and I'm like, hey, I really like what you do. I have a specific question about this. Would you give me 5 minutes of your time? And then that a relationship kind of builds from that. And that's very, very important because how do you know what the path to your dream job is if you don't know anyone who is actually working that job and you look at how their path was exactly.
Exactly.
So in kind of trying to figure out how to end up where I want to be, it's very important to look at people who are already there and see what struggles they had to face, how they found their path. People, as I said very early in this podcast, everyone has a different path. You have to
Yeah.
figure out your own. But it's very, very helpful to get some inspiration. It's very helpful to look at other people who have been there and see what they had. And I had some very good advice from people. Most of it kind of boils down to don't stress about it. Don't try to get to the destination as fast as you can. Kind of just enjoy the process of, if you try some stuff like right and left and you don't like it, that's not really time wasted. And I think that's something I talked about with you as well the first time I
Yes.
met you.
Trust the
The
process.
Exactly. And how do you know that this is not for you if you haven't tried it? And there's kind of this stressful aspect of being a student that the software field is so vast and you kind of want to try everything at the same time. And when you dedicate 3, 4, 5, 6 months to a technology to fully grasp it and then realize that it's not for you, you feel like you wasted your time, could have done something else with your time. you know? And that's something that you demystified as well, that you told me that it's not about time lost, it's about time earned. So like instead of keeping in that field for years before realizing that it's not for you,
For
you
you,
realize it early on, right?
exactly. Fail fast. You go back to that.
Exactly, fell fast. Fell fast. So it's very important to talk about people who are where you want to end up and kind of see what their experiences have been, and because they're going to have insight that you don't have yet, insight that you're going to have in 5 years and you're going to be able to give to students. So that is a form of mentorship and connection with people that I really, really hold dear to my heart. Like, but for that, you need to network. You need to reach out to people. It kind of comes up to the point before this one. You need to put yourself out there, network, believe that the person around you isn't like a supernatural human. It's a person like you. They have their own struggles in life, etc. And they might even be looking forwards to talking with students, sharing their experience, etc. So it's beneficial for everyone. You know, reach out to people, put yourself out there. And the second kind of mentorship that I really enjoyed was group. So when you have someone who's teaching you something, you listen to them, you kind of learn, but also in the same process, you connect with your peers around you who are here for the same purpose as you are. And again, going back to the people who come into a program, don't know anyone, etc., that's a very, very, very good place to start, because whether that's sessions that clubs organize, you know, I know in Concordia there's a bunch, in every university there's a bunch, or whether that's mentorship in itself, that you join a group and you have a mentor and students, workshops, whatever the format, when you go somewhere for a specific objective and you look around you and everyone's there for the same reason, that's a very good place to meet peers and to meet people who are going to stay with you throughout your program, your career, whatever, because you have the same goals. You have
Yeah.
the same goals. You're both there for the same reason, and that's I made some really amazing connections at events like this as well. Some of them are my friends to this day. So that's
Networking is
really,
crucial. Networking is crucial. It's really
yeah.
important.
So with professionals and with peers, because your
Absolutely.
peers today are going to be the professionals of tomorrow. You know, you're
Tomorrow.
going to work with them, you're going to collaborate with them. So that's very, very important as well.
That's something that definitely helped me, yeah, in my journey. I remember back in France,
Mhm.
we were. It's funny. I would bring that though. I'm just thinking about that now. You know, when you start your career, you have that, I would say, dream. Sometimes it's about money, it's about salary. You actually like, okay, I'm learning, I'm improving my skills, but at the same time, don't get me wrong, I would like to earn more, to be
Yeah.
honest, right? And coming from yeah, my background was more about, yeah, if you do that job, if you're successful, that also means you have a kind of number of zero in your bank account, to put it that way. and and I remember I was that guy who I really love coding. I want to be honest with you. I was spending time coding. I love it. It's like, for me, it was like playing piano or doing video game. Was just like, I love it. Like, I love it.
Mhm.
I don't want to mince word. So people was like, oh, you are only a developer. So it was just the thing. So quote unquote, oh, you're just a developer. You're not. You don't think about doing something else. I was like, what does it mean? I've spent 5 years. I'm a software engineer. I spent time learning how to code, to master that, to be a software craftsmanship kind of guy. Was like, I do the code, I write it the right way, and I master it. And now I spent all those years doing that, and people are like, oh, you're just a developer. So do I need to change or do something else, maybe to earn more salary? And to be fair honest with you, it's been through, I went to, yeah, I would say, seeking help, talking with people, one-on-one conversation, mentorship, and that's where I found that, no, Boris, don't be confused. There's another job in the field. It's like you're a product manager. I will name it in French. Chef de projet, all those things. Yeah, they're
Mhm.
part of the industry, but be sure before you jump into that if it's your cup of tea. And I spent time talking with, yeah, those professional more experienced than me were chefs de projet, and I found that, I will be honest with you, maybe I will I will start another war. But half of them was not happy because actually they were like, oh, I miss coding, I miss doing what I really like, I miss that joy that I have when I start my journey, and
Yeah.
that helped me. that had me being like, oh, actually, that's not what I would like to do. I understand that role, but you know what I like doing? Spending time building software, spending time being quote unquote in the garage with my friend. And we have those crazy ideas. Without the shoes, we open the computer and doing things. And it was like, no, that is not really related to, I would say, upgrading or yeah, moving ahead in my career. I'm just doing what I would like to do, being a developer. So just adding that to what you share, right? It's like, yeah, the mentorship, one-on-one discussion, go and talk with people you believe they can give you those meaningful insight in order to help you in your career. That's beautiful. Um, you are a woman, and you
Yes,
said
I am.
something. You're a woman, and you say, and you're very vocal about that. Also vocal about the fact that when you start, I think it was CEGEP, you were only two women in the program, and
Not the program, just one of the classes. It was
one
an
of the
option
classes.
class.
Okay,
Yes, the
so,
programmation programmation class.
okay. So
Program.
allow me to ask you that question. What are some common misconceptions about being one, visible minority, and two, a
Hmm.
woman in the tech that you would like to address? It's like, yeah,
Um,
that industry is dominated by men. We see a lot of men geek, and there is no too many women jumping in that industry. So, what are some misconception about being a woman in the tech that you would like to share with people?
so So as a woman, let's say you walk into a classroom, you look around you and you see only guys, which as of today hasn't happened to me. There's always at least a few women, like obviously in the class. But let's take that example. Obviously you're gonna walk into the class and as a visible minority, even more like you walk into the class, you feel like everyone's there, everyone has a purpose, everyone is there for a reason, everyone has their peers, etc. You just sit in the corner and you listen to the class, etc. Um, there might be a misconception from people's side, looking at you like, oh, she's out of place. I wonder what she's doing there, etc. But
Mm,
again,
mm,
that's not something that I mind too much. I don't feel like I feel like that's their issue. If
mhm,
someone is looking at you and has an idea in their brain that you're less than or you deserve this more less than him or whatever, that's
mhm,
kind of his problem. And I kind of see it as that person has a reducing mindset towards me or towards my peers or whatever. And that's a misconception that also can be damaging to you and to your experience if you're applying to jobs, applying to internships, etc.
yeah,
I haven't experienced that. Thankfully, the company where I did my internships has been very welcoming and everything. But there's always that fear of I'm gonna walk into the interview and the people's gonna look at me differently. They're gonna feel like I'm not maybe their typical candidate, maybe not look like the other interns, and they're gonna wonder, oh, what is she doing here, stuff like that. So that's some misconceptions can happen. Obviously there can be some judgment right here and there. Um,
yeah,
but again, just going back to the initial point, that's not something you should worry about because even if you look like the stereotypical white guy who's there, who all his family has been there, people can still judge you no matter what you look like, no matter where you come from, no matter what gender you are. So you can't let your experience be defined by, oh, what is he going to think about me? What is she going to think about me? That taints your experience. That taints the vision that you have of the job, basically of the job, of the industry, of everything. So you as a visible minority, as a woman, should not worry about other people at all. And it's very hard to do. It's very, very hard to do.
that's true.
Um, it's not something that comes easily, but I feel like it's a very, very important point. You can't walk into a room and put in your brain that all of these people are looking at me weird. Maybe they're looking at you because they like your outfit. They like how you're dressed. They like how professional you look. They like whatever, aspect of you that they heard about. Maybe they heard, oh, there's a new woman in the team and, can't wait to meet her. You have to shift your perspective and think that you being different in a team is actually an asset because you bring a different perspective, you bring a different way of thinking. You were raised differently in some cases. If you're an immigrant who just came here, maybe you were raised differently, you think differently, and that's an asset to companies. So you have to approach these job interviews, these opportunities that you get with the mindset that the difference that I have is not something that's a disadvantage. It's actually a good thing that I should bring forward, and
You're
yeah,
bringing something. You're bringing something. You're
yeah, you're
coming
bringing
with your
something new.
background. You're bringing with your culture. You're actually you,
Hmm.
and that's what you bring into the team.
Yeah.
And do you believe that, let's say in Canada, in Canada in particular, because yeah, I would like to talk about what I know, what I see. Do you believe that universities and colleges have good, I would say, something to play there? They need to be also involved in helping the visible minority, underrepresented groups in the tech industry, in the tech area? Do you think that they have some action to do there?
I feel like there's a lot being done at, I'm going to talk about Concordia because that's what I know best.
Yeah,
There's a lot being done, but there's a lot, like most of what's being done is on the student side. So we're forming clubs, we're having initiatives. There's a Women in Engineering club. There are a bunch of clubs for each minority, but that's really something that's student led. So the students are coming together, they have a voice, they make themselves heard to the administration, whether like we need more funds for this specific activity, we need networking that's for women, we need opportunities that are specifically for this group, etc., because we're underrepresented. But that's something that the students have to bring forward. And I feel like if that was something that was coming from the administration, you would maybe feel a bit more at ease. You would
yeah,
not have to go poke them and ask about, hey, I need this. Like
yeah,
they I feel like the most important thing as a faculty is to listen to your students, and that's being done to a certain extent because we're making them hear us, we're saying, hey, there's a need here, what can we do to fill it together, and they're reacting to our messages. But what would be even more helpful is if the initiative came from them and kind of like, whether that's polls or like giving students a voice from themselves and not waiting for us to get up and say, hey, here's the need. But there's definitely something being done, and the student clubs are they're going very, very well. Some very good initiatives that I've seen on campus, which I love to see that, honestly.
I take note of that, and we will try our best to reach out to them to let them know they can do a little bit more. It's already good, but we can bring that to the top again.
Yeah.
And I completely understand what you're saying. That I would like to share my story as someone who's lucky today to be in a position where I recruit, I offer a job, and when I build a team, it's not easy when I have, for example, a job post out there, whether it's an internship or looking for full time. Um, the number of women, let me say that ladies that apply sometimes low, to be very, very,
Yeah.
very honest with you. I'm very vocal in the sense that I would like to build a team well represented, where I don't have a specific number. I can't tell you, oh, I would like five for 5 men, I would like 5 women. That's not where I'm going, because it will be very arrogant to say I can reach that. But the goal today for me is to ensure that I can have at least one, the best talent. And I believe that whether you're a man or woman, there's no difference in terms of what you have in your brain, and the way you were raised. But my challenge sometime, not only in the current role that I have in the past, when I was, I remember building that company that I opened in Canada. Yeah, I have a job post out there, and when I look at the number of women, I'm like, where are you? Please apply. I would like to see more. So yeah, I hope that they will listen to those kind of podcasts, this platform, to understand that there is a place, and people like me are looking at least to give a chance, right? And I don't mince
Hmm.
word. I'm a father of a daughter that I love like crazy, and I want her to understand that she also have a space there. She can be yeah confident in the sense that I'm not just a black, I'm not a woman, I can just do anything and
Hmm.
pursue my dream. Okay, so thank you for sharing that, and I take note though For Concordia University, actually, we will try to to let them know
Um,
they can be a little bit more involved in that
I
exercise.
think you brought up a very important point of even if you want to give a chance, sometimes people don't apply, and I think that's the best way to not get a job is to not apply for it. You know, you can get opportunities that you just don't go out there and look for. And I think that has to do with two things. So either um, the underrepresentation of women means that you don't necessarily get the same information. So, for example, let's say there's a student club. You know, let's say there's a student club in a certain field that's working on a certain project, and that gets your attention. You as a recruiter, you look at the school, you're like, "Hey, this project is going very well. I have a job offer." And I send a message to the club, "Hey, there's this job opening. I feel like your members of this club have an experience that could be good, etc." That's something that happens a lot with companies reaching out to student clubs in university. What's going to happen is maybe this student club is mostly men. Maybe this student club has one woman, two women working actively on the project. And so what happens there is you're going to get a lot of applications. You're going to look at the applications and wonder, where are the women? The women are not in the student club because maybe they didn't apply. Maybe when they came to apply, it was mostly men. It was an environment that was which kind of intimidating. I don't know, for some people, which I don't stand by that. I believe that if you're a visible minority or a woman, you should get absolutely everywhere, because you're
Sure.
going to be the woman that the other woman looks up to and says, "Hey, there's at least a woman here." I feel like you should not be scared of that at all, but it is a reality. It is a reality that sometimes we don't necessarily apply to clubs if it's not an environment that we feel represented in. And we tend to forget that we could be the representation for other people. And so I feel like having clubs with women in them as well, kind of pushing that. Maybe as an employer, reach out to women club on campuses as well as the regular technical ones, because you have to understand that there is a bias and there probably are less women than men in those technical clubs as well, just because of what I just explained. And so reaching out to diverse clubs on campus is also a solution and unfortunately, it's not a burden that should be placed on employers at all,
Mhm.
but it's the reality. So there's something that the universities could do with that. Us as students as well, kind of put ourselves out there and encourage other women to join, and make it feel a bit more um, that just and fair and well represented at the lowest levels, and then that's how we get to the top and opportunities as well. We have to start at every level.
Yeah, and I will add something, and we need more people to speak out like you're doing. We need more Hanine on the to share their thoughts and yeah, to inspire. You need to also we need to inspire other people to be like, okay, we are not afraid to apply because there is already someone there who opened the road
Yeah.
for us, who's leading us, right? And yeah, when we talk about it, let's fast forward a little bit and we see in 5, 10 years how that how the landscape will be. I remember, yeah, in one of our conversations you asked me like, okay, if we already doing that now, what will be the landscape? How do we see the tech industry involved in terms of diversity,
Yeah, and that's
including women?
something that I feel like you can
Right.
answer because obviously you know what the tech industry was like 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I was in secondary school, so I don't know a bunch about that. I feel
Yeah.
like your experience in just seeing how it changed in the past and how you think it's going to change in the future,
Yeah.
that's something that you can
I, I
have a
have
lot
a
to say about.
thank you for asking that. I have something that really I would say for me is crucial. If I take my own experience, when
Hmm.
I was a student like you see, I put my my hand on my heart. I was hoping to see more Black people coding live when I was going to conferences. I was hoping to see that geek who come and open his computer doing things and is Black like me. Period. To be very honest with you, I was hoping to see someone like me coming from Silicon Valley that someone tell me one day, oh, look, that Black guy was the co-founder or founder of this, of that. And my time was not really the case. Now that changed. Now when I travel, I just go give conferences, I see more people like me.
Now you are that guy. That's what you need to realize. You are the guy that we see at conferences,
Thank you.
representing. So
Thank
that
you.
is
Thank
that
you.
is really a full circle there. That's
That's
really
why it's
amazing.
important for me, right? Because I remember in my time that was the case. I was studying in Cameroon, I moved to Morocco, even in France, when I was traveling in London, all those places where I was going, they gave me that name, the Black Geek, for a reason. It was funny at the time, and I was like, you know what? I like it though. Now I like it because maybe it will be my superpower, and other young kid won't be like, okay, oh, this guy, this bold guy, is opening his computer. So one day I can be that. I cannot just dream about soccer, even if I play soccer. But that was really important for me. So now that I see the landscape of tech industries like that, we see more people, yeah, woman, black guy. It's not just about someone who was born in California, white, and yeah, and people from coming from Asia, India. I think now the tech industry is more global. The tech industry is becoming truly global. So we will see more collaboration and innovation from people from all around the world. So that's something I don't. Yeah, I'm really confident about how the landscape will be in 5, 10 years. That's one thing. The second thing too is media. The media
Yeah.
representation will also improve, right? We're showing a wide range of voices, stories in tech being told, like we're doing right now. So we have many platforms now: YouTube, Instagram. I'm not in TikTok, but I do believe that you're seeing more in TikTok.
Yes.
So all those things will come in the mix and will play a crucial role in helping embrace diversity and inclusion. My only wish though, it's just a wish, because yeah, maybe I won't be vocal like I am now in 5, 10 years. It's like we don't need to forget something. It's not just about how you look, it's also about how you think, right? And I'm saying that in the like someone who built a company. Before I was building a company, I was building a team. I was bringing people together to work, to collaborate, to bring the best out of them. It's not just about saying the following: oh, because I'm a black guy, I need to hire black people. Period. You can laugh, we can laugh, and people will be like, oh, because that actually happened in the past. Oh, Boris, why don't you hire more people like you? I'm like, yeah, I want. I wish. It's a dream for me. But you also need to be mentally strong, to master your craft, to
Yeah.
understand that, yeah, we are talking about inclusion, diversity, but we're also talking here, most importantly, about talent. So that's something you need to take in consideration early. It's not about just saying, oh, because quote unquote, I'm a woman, there is less woman in the
Yeah.
field. Maybe one day someone will hire me because I'm a woman. And you need to feel quota. That's the part that I wish we are not going to move in that direction, because at the end of it, it's
There's
about talent, first of all.
there's something about being the diversity hire, which I say in TikToks. It's like a joke around there. Like, you're the diversity hire. You're someone that they hire just to meet the quota. And it's important to realize that that's not a free
Exactly.
pass. It's not a free
Exactly.
pass. But it's also very important to note something that this is just a story I heard from someone. Let's say you're a recruiter, you have a team that looks a certain way. So a team that has a shared culture. All the people in the team as of today share the same culture. They look like each other. They're working really well together. Obviously, as a recruiter, one of your objectives is to have the new person integrate well into the team, work
Yep.
well with others. And
Yep.
you can definitely correct me because I think that's your expertise, not mine. But obviously, you're going to try to find someone that works well with the team. And that's where it could be hard to diversify companies that have been running for a long time without any person who looks differently on the team, because obviously when you look differently you have a different background as well. Maybe you work differently, maybe. And I say that it may be like very small nuances, and that's not to take away from your talent at all,
Yep.
but you're going to have relate differently to situations that happen. Maybe what you do after work is not the same, so you're not going to connect the same. And so when you go into a company and you see everyone is around the same age, they look the same, they dress the same, everything's the same, and you are kind of the odd one out, that could also play against you. So that's
Absolutely.
it's kind of like a nuance there.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
Yeah.
No, for sure, for sure. What we're trying to do, I won't name the company, but people I'm working with today, and also the way I'm
Hmm.
sharing that story about diversity and inclusion. Let's say, for example, we have a brainstorm in the room, right? And we're all thinking the same way. I will definitely say that is not helping to move from point A to point
Yeah.
B. If we're all taking the same path, what is the point of doing the brainstorm? We just kind of say, okay, do it. And if you bring people from different background, it can be difficult at the beginning because I will come and I will be the one saying, if we move from point A to point B, I would like to take that path. Actually, you are thinking about another path, and someone else is coming. Let's say is coming from Asia, another one coming from Africa, another one from Australia, and we have a lot of options. For sure, at the beginning, it's challenging because it's not about who
Yeah.
is right and wrong, but as a human being, that's the way we're approaching things for the first time. It's like, no, maybe I'm right here and you're wrong. All those background, the way we were approaching problem. But with a time, with experience, as a team, as a group, when we start trusting each other, definitely we just have options, right? We just have options now. We're looking now. Instead of just having one road to take, we have we basically have avenues, right? So that's the way I try to put it every time. It's like, yeah, the beginning can be daunting, for recruiter, for company, because yeah, to embrace the difference, even if we're talking about that, it's not easy though. It's not easy. You kind of afraid sometimes that you will break something. You already have a formula was working, as you say, maybe people are looking the same with the same background. That formula is working, and you're like, okay, I would like to hire someone who's not looking like us, who's coming from a different part of the world. How good gonna be? We just want a milk. We don't want a cappuccino. Oh, maybe try the cappuccino, and you will see that actually it's good, right? But you will taste it at the first time, it won't be good, and after you will be
Yeah.
used to that, and you take the just the best from that will come. So that's my formula, my recipe, and I believe that in the next 5, 10 years we will be just in amazing position in that industry. With everything that is happening right now, I feel blessed to be in that field. So yeah, so that's that's uh, that's my dream there. Oh, if someone is coming to, yeah, I see you in the street and will sound maybe weird for you to ask me that I ask you that question. But bear with me there. Someone is coming and say, Anine, who are you? What will be the one sentence that you will say, okay, go with that?
I don't like that question because
It's
there's always a
challenging,
part of
right?
interviews. Yeah, it's the same question as like, tell me about yourself.
Yeah, I
I don't
know.
know I don't know what the person is expecting to hear. And if it's like an interview for a job or an internship, that's your answer is kind of like the hook, and that's gonna get their attention. And so I never know how to start. Obviously you could start with your identity as a student, but I feel like that's kind of a boring one. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like obviously I'm a software engineering student. I can say which year I'm in, what I learned so far, but that's kind of a shared identity. That's something that a lot of people have in common. We're all students in university in my field, so like all the people around. So I feel like that may not be the best thing to say. You could talk about your hobbies, but then do they care? I could tell you what I do in my free time. But most of all, I think it's mostly important to talk about your passion as an individual. So you say your name, you say who you are, and then you say this is what I'm passionate about. This is what I like doing. This is why I'm applying here. This is why I'm presenting myself here. This is why I'm in this podcast, whatever the reason is. So you say what your passion is. And for me, what brings me here today, why I'm here with you, why we're having this conversation, me and you, and I think we share that kind of passion, is we want to make a difference in this. We see the need. we see the underrepresentation sometimes, we see the lack of inspiration for some students. And for me, I'm trying to bring people like you around on campus, have these kinds of discussions, and go in a direction where we can make some changes eventually. Whether that is just by inspiring people to speak up or actually make differences, like mentor people, have events like the ones you did on campus, where you gave talks, etc. But it's really in that shared goal of making a difference and filling whatever need we see, which right now is underrepresentation and everything that
Wow.
goes around that.
And that was amazing. Actually, yeah, let me share with you what I asked that question, because usually what I see, whether it's an interview or just meeting people, yeah, those events, that's a daunting
Hmm.
question. Actually, it's like, oh, people
It is.
shaking. People
It is.
shaking. It's like, oh, what do I have to say? Actually, the answer is just say what is coming to your mind. Just let your heart speak, because there is no wrong or right answer there. It's just who you are, and you you basically just did it. And that's why I asked you to share also with people who will listen to that. There is no wrong or right answer. As soon as you just
Yeah.
open your mouth, let your heart speak. And I found that in the tech industry, why I'm also feel really blessed, fortunate to be in this ecosystem, is like we have many people who are passionate about what they do, and with the passion just comes joy, fun. So don't be afraid. Just tell your story, share who you are, and every time you will open your mouth to share your journey, there will always gonna be something really, really, really meaningful, and that's it. Maybe it will be your identity, as you say. Maybe it will be just your background. Maybe your struggle that you face. Maybe your passion. Oh, just saying, oh, you know what? I love playing basketball. Someone will be like, oh, boom, you already have a connection. Start talking about something. So don't try to stick to one script, that, oh, this script is good or that script is not good, because they none such a thing will be like, oh, it's just perfect. So thank you very much for sharing that. And to wrap up that section, I will say, yeah, in the tech industry, those interview, maybe something won't be for you today, but there is something else is waiting from you somewhere else. So just be
Yeah.
just be you. Just be you. Thank you, honey. As we wrap up, thank you for taking the time to join me today. And as I told you in the beginning, in the intro, it's episode number 2. So I'm really delighted
Yes.
to have you. I'm just proud. Also, very happy. I start a tradition in the platform in Oloodi dialogue. I start a tradition, and I'm closing the podcast with one question. Right? Let's imagine you could go back in time and give
Hmm.
advice to your younger self. You're still young. I hope you have it in your mind. You're still young, right? But just imagine you could go back in time and give an advice to a younger Anin from just 2 years ago. I'm not talking about 5. I'm not talking about when you were a kid. You have experience now. If we can go back in 2022, exactly, what will you say to younger Annie?
So it's very interesting that you mentioned 2022, because January 2022 was when I was looking at programs, where to apply, what to do, which university. And the thing, I think my biggest obstacle, which is something I kind of inflict on myself, I'm so indecisive. Like I want to do everything at the same time, and I don't know where to go, and I'm kind of doubting. I'm like, what if I'm better here? What if this is better for me? And then I kind of get paralyzed between choices. I'm like, I don't know what to decide. I don't know how to know where my place is. And it's actually very interesting that you bring up 2022. And then in the following months, January, February, March, I start speaking to people, and I see this person who did this program, and I would like to become, like, have the same career. And then I see someone else who did something else. I'm like, I don't know how to decide. And I feel like the advice that would have most helped me then is that your path is what you make it. So whatever you decide, you're going to be good at, you're going to like, you're going to be okay with. And even if you end up changing decisions, changing paths, changing careers, that's fine. That's completely fine. Don't focus on the destination. And that's something I did a lot. I looked at where I wanted to go and I was trying to figure out the best path. And it's really hard to do in that way. So you look at the end and you try to figure out the beginning. That's very, very hard. What I did instead, and what I would have told myself to do instead, is choose something that you're comfortable with now. Choose something that appeals to you. Choose something that you're passionate about. Choose something that you're going to enjoy. Get into it, and then look around at what the next step is, what the other possibility is. Same for, so instead of making it a very big decision, daunting decision, the career, the rest of my life, that's what's going to decide my life at the end, make it a small decision. Where do I see myself going to school in September? Just start as simple as that. Choose the uni first, maybe choose the program, and then from that, when you get into uni, choose the field maybe that interests you, try something, try a project, see if you like it. So break down those big daunting decisions that used to paralyze me into small ones. Trust myself as well. Trust that whatever decision I make, I have the ability to bounce back if I do fail. That's really, like, I was so afraid that I was gonna make the bad decision and fall, that I forgot that even if I fall, I can get up. I can get back up. I can try something else. I can go in another direction. And I feel like that's something that would have helped me a lot. And again, that's something that transpired in my first discussion with you. That's, how do you choose? How do you know what's good for you? How do you know where your place is? Especially if you're passionate about a lot of different things.
Yeah.
People say follow your heart. My heart is telling me 5 different things. How do I choose? So that was very difficult for me to do. And it
Wow.
still is. It still is. But
That's
we're
amazing.
getting better.
You're getting better, and I'm sure you will
We're getting
progress, you
better.
will improve. Yeah, no, but thank you for sharing that framework. And do you have any kind of recipe outside maybe of I'm just thinking now, meditation, sport, activity. Do you have something that help you keep your mind sharp? Is you wanna share? Do you have
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
magic
sure.
magic pill?
My magic thing is what you would call meditation, I would call prayer. So 5 times a
Yeah,
day, it's really just a way for me to slow down everything that's going on,
yes.
no matter what you're doing. It's like a few minutes that you just sit with yourself. Nothing matters. You do your daily prayer, and that kind of grounds you. So for someone that's not religious, that could be meditation or just maybe just respiration, like breathing, whatever. But for me, I just put my head down and I do my prayer, and after that it's like, like
Relax.
you're
You're
yeah,
ready to
exactly,
go.
exactly, exactly, exactly. And I feel like it's very, very important to take breaks throughout
Mhm.
the day, like whether you're someone who prays or not, take a break. Like, especially as a professional, I can imagine how full your day is, and you have extracurriculars that you do, you're involved in so many things. How do you take a moment for yourself? How do you slow down during the day? So
Oh, yeah. You're asking a question actually for me
yeah,
to
yeah,
share?
yeah, yeah. I would like to do how you did that. To know how you
you
did
want
that. Yeah,
you want to know how I do that? Oh,
yeah.
I find myself being sometimes just laughing about it because yeah, I have many people basically asking me, "Well, Boris, how do you do that?"
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if I have a magic pill or a recipe or formula framework that I apply. I will tell you one thing that I'm telling to myself every day actually when I wake up is this quote from my favorite actor, Denzel Washington, is saying the following: dream without goals are just dreams, and they ultimately fuel disappointment. And in the road of achieving those goals, you must apply discipline and consistency. And with that, I found with the time that, yeah, I remember when I was a kid, a teenager, moving to a young adult, when I like something, I will always find a time for that. That was simple. For me, it was like, okay, actually, yeah, trying to organize, trying to be like, oh, how I'm going to find my uptime, be more productive. And I realized that I was putting on my plate maybe too many things that I don't like doing. So from there, I was just like, yeah, maybe overwhelmed, busy, low energy. It was
Mm.
like, oh, if I like doing many things, you know what? At the end of the day, I will always find a time to do so. So to do them, to reach my goals. But I need to implement it kind of a discipline to consistency. Is like for me, I remember I was sharing that with a friend a couple of days ago. And I see it's not different to be like being an athlete, professional athlete. You train, so wake up, do my morning walk, playing piano. I'm also in this spirituality like you. I'm trying to always think that if I'm in good my mind, I take care of my mental health, being sharp, I will give the best to people. I also have two kids that I need to be there for them, and they helping me take that break that you mentioned. So with them, actually, no, there's no work. I won't sit them down with them and talk about Java programming. They will be like,
Yeah.
oh no, no, they don't care about it. My son will be like, oh, take the bike and we go play soccer. My daughter will be like, oh, come and dance with me. She's kind of funny. So that helped me take a break. But at the end of the day, discipline, consistency, and on my plate, I need to feed myself with what I like doing. Otherwise, I will be overwhelmed and low energy. And as you mentioned, though, I will close with that. Yeah, just picking those. I would say your to-do list, low-hanging fruit. So don't don't think like, oh, in 3 months I will do this in 6 months. No, just think maybe what you want to do tomorrow, what you can achieve,
Mhm.
what you're going to do next week, what you can achieve. Forget a little bit about the 3 month thing or your next quarter. No, it's too far. Be in the present. Live the present, the moment. Actually, the moment right now. So that's my formula, and I hope it's working for now. I guess I don't know. I will see in the future.
I mean, I feel like it's working. You're juggling so many things and you still show a passion for each and every one of those things. I feel like that's your strategy is working very well and we can see it. You know,
Oh,
you're whether you're speaking with students or giving people some of your time or everything, it doesn't feel like you're doing this out of obligation. You're passionate about it. You show that you want to be there, you want to give it time. And I think that's amazing because it makes people feel more comfortable around you as well.
oh,
That's really
thank
a good
you.
thing.
Oh, thank you very much, Annie. Thank you for that, and thank you for joining me for this second episode. As I was saying, for the first one and people around me, I just want to iterate that here with you. With the platform, I'm trying to bring also people who speak in French. So just to let people who will see, if you didn't have a chance actually to listen to the first episode and you're listening to the second episode, this platform aims to be bilingual, French and English. So we will have some show in English and some episode will come and we will be able to also speak in French. I hope that's something you like and you will appreciate, Annie.
Yes. Um, Thank you so much for having me, Boris. I am very excited to see what's going to come of this platform. I think the two first episodes have been amazing and very important subjects as well. And I'm very excited to hear what you have in stock for the next episodes. One thing I know about you is whenever something's achieved, you always have a next goal that's even bigger. So I'm I'm very excited to see how all of this ends up. So
Oh,
thank you so
thank
much
you.
for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
I have yourself a wonderful Sunday. Enjoy it and thank you for being here.